What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Beautiful. What up, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me okay. I made the stupid decision of messing with my equipment before going live and making major changes. Let me know if you can hear me okay or if my mic sounds weird. Tech check 1 2. Check check 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me okay. We are live. What is going on, everybody? You can hear me okay? Is my mic is thank you, Chuck. All right, sounds perfect. When I'm out when I do this. Oh, I sound weird, but that's normal. Okay, cool. Yeah, because on my end, everything sounds completely off. And that's the problem. But as long as it's good on your end, that's really all I care about. So, yeah, man, my audio is completely messed up on my end. But how are you guys doing? What's going on, everybody? I haven't been live in a minute. Missed you all. It's good to be doing this. We're going to be doing a lot more live stuff. I sound weird? Okay. If it sounds weird, let me know because on my end it sounds completely off and I might have to there's a small chance I might have to restart the stream, but let's see if I can figure it out. It sounds better on my no, it doesn't at all actually. I might just have to restart the stream anyway, but that's fine. We are going to be talking some basketball, going deep in depth into some stuff. So, we're waiting on the Kelly Oubre trade. Are people actually trying to get Kelly Oubre? Is Kelly Oubre to Detroit? Is that a narrative? Is that something that like I've been like out of the blue on? I mean, it wouldn't be the worst trade. I don't know if I'd be like running home, like, like, Mom, we got Kelly Oubre! But like at the same time, like, wouldn't be like the worst thing on the planet. But man, I've been really thinking more and more about like NBA front office stuff. By the way, if you're in here, feel free to drop any questions that you have. Let me know what's on your mind, what Pistons stuff you want to talk about, NBA stuff you want to talk about, man. It's good to have you all here. I mean, first of all, the Donovan Mitchell trade is doing a lot of things in the East. We're looking at the fact that we have Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Karis LeVert, Darius Garland that we're going to have to conceivably deal with for a while now, right? Also, Marvin said that my audio sounds weird. If it actually sounds weird on your end, let me know. Oh, sounds fine. Okay. Anyway, but would have loved Zion to have joined us, brother. Any one of us would love Zion Williamson to be on our team, without a doubt. However, what that would take financially, what that would take trade package wise, it would be a metric ton. A metric ton. It would be crazy. Am I the only one that thinks got worse for playoff basketball? Two short guards that can't play D. Yeah, so let's talk about that, right? Because everyone's automatically penciling in the Cleveland Cavaliers into like contention, into like everything, right? But like here's the first piece of the reality. This team, like Chuck said, now is running off of two guards that are 6'1". So defensively, you're going to be relying a lot on your back line. Now, granted, if you're going to have that type of backcourt, you want a front court that has an elite defensive prowess, and on your front line, you do a lot of things. And this lineup absolutely can do that. However, if we're being a little realistic about it, one of the things that could be weird about this lineup, or one of the things that could be a little peculiar about this lineup, is the fact that if these guys aren't going to like stop anyone on the perimeter, they're going to like come in and they're going to cause a lot of foul trouble, right? So like in reality, like these guys could potentially be off the court like due to foul trouble in like playoff situations, and like that could be something that could cost your team. Now, Donovan Mitchell has the athleticism to be a good defensive player, or at least to be a dependable defensive player, right? But at the same time, there's levels to this. So I'm interested to see what's going to come out of it. But all right, we got just Sean. I'm trying to start my podcast for Pistons fans out of state. I'm in Phoenix, but Detroit Rays. Need any help or advice you can give in starting my channel? Step one, and this is like the simplest thing. First of all, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate your support and tuning into the channel. And dude, that's awesome, man. On wanting to start that journey. So the biggest thing is, first of all, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. And the second thing is you got to just do it, because a lot of people will go, oh, well, I don't know if I have the equipment. I don't know if I have the setup. A lot of my videos when I actually started were being recorded on my iPhone, and I was using lights that my roommate had that were available that I just set up. And through that, like, I was blessed and I was able to get some equipment. And now I'm in a situation where I'm pretty blessed to have the setup that I have. But like the setup wasn't the reason why the channel was successful. Like I firmly believe, like if I was still filming on my iPhone right now, that we would be having the same amount of success. But I think, just having these extra tools help. So that would be the big thing. The big thing is just do it. The second thing is just be consistent, because that's the big thing is when you're consistent, you're going to learn from the errors and from the mistakes that you make. You're going to see what works well. You're going to see what doesn't. And if you're not consistent, if you're not doing that type of thing, you're not really sure how you're getting better, and you're not really going to be consistently putting in the craft to be better. So a lot of times that podcasts fail and often don't do well and don't succeed. It's because of the consistency thing. So that was the big thing for me, was once I got on a consistent schedule, once I consistently uploaded, once I found something that worked for me and content that worked well as well, then from there, the channel started to see some success. And that's where, I'm at, where I'm in the position now. But here's what I will say. I do wanna real quick, before we get into some things, I do want to make some little mini announcements and plug some stuff and get things ready for tomorrow. First of all, if you're not following us on Twitter at FH Court Pod, you should definitely change that, because of the fact that there's going to be a lot of good content coming up on there going forward. So again, we're at FH Court Pod on Twitter. If you're not already following us there, the odds are, though, if you're in this stream, the odds are you're already following this page. So you're already doing well. Like, there's a lot of good content, graphics, stuff that goes up here that you want to be checking out. But in addition, there's this post made yesterday, or on Friday, and specifically, we are going to be doing a full graphic rebranding. We're buffing up. So tomorrow, be sure to be tuning in for the new graphics, for the new branding, for everything that we have coming up. So you're going to be following us at FH Court Pod on Twitter. You're going to be tuned in here, because we have a full scale rebrand launching tomorrow. And what I can say is that every single person I've shown the new logo, every single person that I've shown the new branding, has said that they've loved it. So I'm excited for you to see it. This is just a little sneak peek. Just know tomorrow we're buffing up. So that's coming this week. So be expecting that. Is this clickbait, or is there a trade in the works? No, this is not clickbait. I'm not saying that there is a trade in the works, but I do want to talk about what will be that Pistons blockbuster trade. What will happen? Because we're looking at the Donovan Mitchell thing. What is it going to look like when the Pistons are in that position to go get a guy themselves? Right? That's kind of the conversation I want to have. That's what I'm curious about. I'm curious if there's any stars that you want to see out here. One thing though, real quick, is the starting lineup with Marvin Bagley third, Ivy better than a lineup with Grant and Kojo. Brother, that lineup is far more dynamic than a lineup with Grant and Kojo, just from the fact that from athleticism alone, the fact that they could both get above the rim, the fact that Ivy is going to be able to cut to the basket as well as stretch the floor. You look at Marvin Bagley, I think the thing with him, I don't know if he's an upgrade over Grant. I think there's a little bit of a defensive loss in that position. But what I would say is that Marvin Bagley does bring a solid 16, 18 points a game to the table. Like he's a guy that can consistently go in the basket, like go into the paint, get into the lane, get dirty buckets, get everything he wants. Like that's what you want out of him, right? So I think that's something you'll see. They'll probably trade for another wing. You know, I honestly could see it. I do think that that's probably going to be the position that like we're going to be looking. So let's look at the landscape of the league, right? And let's start like theorizing like what players could actually be available. Because I think when you're looking at like who the Pistons are going to add, I think you have to look at the teams that have stars that eventually could get disgruntled. Right? So specifically, one place I'm looking at right now, and I'm not saying that I want the Pistons to make this trade. I'm just saying that this is a star that I think over the next couple of years is going to be available. Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns on the Minnesota Timberwolves, they obviously just made the big trade to go get Rudy Gobert. And because of that, I don't know if y'all have been watching Eurobasket, by the way, but France hasn't been looking particularly great of late. And Rudy Gobert in particular has been having a rough Eurobasket. He's also approaching his mid-30s. So, like, that's not great. And so if they're going to be able to salvage that situation at all and, like, build around Anthony Edwards going forward when this inevitably doesn't go the way that, like, the Minnesota Timberwolves want this to go, I think you're going to conceivably look at a situation where a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns could be available for trade. I think another guy you have to instantly look at is another player that's going to be available, a little bit more of a wing player, but he's a guard, so it doesn't really fit as well in this system. Bradley Beal. I mean, it still could. I mean, you see Dwayne Casey looking at that 3-guard combination of Killian, Ivy, and Cade. I mean, could conceivably do something there, but Bradley Beal just signed a Supermax contract. I don't know if Detroit's going to want to take that on either, but the one piece of it is he got a no-trade clause in there, which you would think means that he's safe to stay in Washington throughout that entire thing. But the reality is that Bradley Beal, in theory, could waive that no-trade clause at any point and choose where he wants to go next. And the Washington Wizards won't have, like, anything to say about it otherwise. So that's another guy that you're going to have to look out for. Another story that we're going to have to look at, especially over the next couple of years. You're going to have to look at this. Now you're going to have to look at this Cleveland situation, and you're going to have to start seeing some success early. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in a situation where Donovan Mitchell might potentially want to be on the trading block, or he might want to go somewhere else in free agency. So, like, this Cleveland thing, like, they're going to have to see some success as well here. Like, unless he's, like, actually truly committed for the long term, which, let's be honest, at the end of the day, a lot of NBA guys aren't necessarily committed to the long term, to that first thing right off the bat. So I wouldn't necessarily rule that out. I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, the Detroit Pistons, like, people are looking at, and like everyone was going, oh my God, this guy is falling after Donovan Mitchell was traded to the Cavs. But like, the reality of it is, man, the Pistons have $60+ million in cap space the next offseason, which again isn't only something you can use in the free agency market, is something you can use to give you flexibility when making trades as well, right? So like, the Pistons are going to have plenty of options going forward, and I don't think we're particularly far off from when we're going to be making our big blockbuster move. So that's something I'm looking forward to. That's something I would expect to be seeing coming up. Cat would be a good fit for the Pistons. I could pull it off. No way. I don't see Beal either, but like as far as like when you're looking at stars that could potentially be available, that's someone that could be out there as well. Now, it's going to be interesting though because like the free agency market over the next couple of years is getting more and more tight and is getting more and more contentious. I think you're seeing like now that you're seeing a lot of these guys getting traded, you're seeing more and more guys signing options and waiting. And the other thing that we're going to have to look at that's going to be a big thing for the Pistons coming up over the next couple of years and just the league in general. The new media deal's coming. And we're projected to see crazy things when that new media deal comes out, right? I think with that new media deal, we could specifically be seeing 60, $70 million a year max contracts in the NBA. Like when we eventually sign Cade down the road, he is going to get the mother bag. I am just going to let you know right now. Can't always say he's soft, but he is the exact fit to play the stretch forward with our rookies. Dude, that's exactly it. You look at Karl Anthony Towns, and I think what you're looking at in Minnesota right now, and like you point out, like Cat doesn't necessarily want to play the 5. That's not his position. Even though it's like probably where he fits best on a basketball court, it's not really where he wants to play. He wants to play more so on the perimeter and like pick and choose his spots when he gets into the post, right? So if you're to play alongside a guy like Jalen Duren, who wants all the smoke and wants to spend all of his time in the post and banging against guys in the post, like that's just who he is, right? So I definitely could see that as well. We haven't played a game yet. For all we know, Stewart stretches the floor well, hits threes at the high clip, and Duren is still developing by year's end. That's bold. That's the other thing too. Like to your point, like Detroit right now, like doesn't necessarily feel like they need to make an upgrade in that position because they have Isaiah Stewart, who is one of the best switching bigs in the league. If he can keep developing that 3-point shot, which we keep seeing during summer league, which we saw towards the end of last season, like this isn't something that's like a fluke anymore, right? Like we're seeing Isaiah Stewart consistently taking threes and hitting them at a decent clip. So whether or not he's going to be able to consistently do that when he gets NBA minutes, we'll see. However, if that develops, you're definitely right, Topher. That is a super valuable thing to have in your back pocket. Now, here's what we're going to do. There is 49 people in here right now. Of all the people in here I actually know basketball, because I know some of the people that are in here are my friends or just family tuning in. I appreciate it very much. Give me your take. Give me your want. Like what star do you want to see the Pistons add over the next couple of years? Give me your take. Give me your presentation. I'd love to know, and tell me why too, because I'd actually be really interested. But I'm in agreement, by the way. No need to get rid of Beef Stew. That would be a great rotation. I am in firm agreement. Like even if you're able to like somehow get Cat and even keep Beef Stew and like have him like come off the bench, that ain't bad. I'm not complaining about that. But again, what amount of picks would you have to get a guy like Karl Anthony Towns? That's the other piece. I mean, this is why Detroit wanted to conceivably be in the DeAndre Ayton situation before getting Jalen Duren, right? Was the ability to get another star. Okay, of course. Yeah, if we can go get Luka, of course, let's go get Luka. But like that might be like, I honestly could see a world where LeBron gets traded before Luka Doncic gets traded. That's where we're at. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to be on a team not named the Dallas Mavericks. I want to run this team this year as is and then decide. I'm with you, Chuck. I think that's the ultimate thing is. And that's the precursor, because before we talk about the Pistons going out and adding players and being in that mix and going and getting guys to add to our rotation, I think you ideally have to look at the Pistons and say, okay, this season, and like again, we're not talking about like the Pistons having to make the play in this year, and that's the best thing for them winning a championship in the future. What it is it's about making progress. It's about seeing something that has promise and something that I want to invest in as a general manager, something I want to invest in as an owner. I mean, let's look at what the Cleveland Cavaliers just did this past season, right? Overachieved beyond anyone's wildest dreams and expectations. No one had Cleveland this last year as a play-in team. They had them as a verge play-in team. But at one point, the Cleveland Cavaliers last year were top 3 in the conference. They performed above expectations, right? And because of that, they saw that they had an ability to go and add and build around that roster. The same thing with the Phoenix Suns a couple years ago when they went and added Chris Paul. They saw that run that the Phoenix Suns made in the bubble. They saw when Devin Booker made that shot, was laying down, was doing that flex, like, yeah, like, you know, like, I'm cool, like, you know, but then from there, they were able to go get Chris Paul and take that next step, right? So what does that step look like for the Pistons this year? In my opinion, I don't even think it means having to make the play-in. If you're playing meaningful basketball in March or April, can we all agree that that's a win? Like, if the Pistons are playing games that mean something beyond February, that's a win. Because I feel like these last couple of years, the season's been chalked to going in. We knew that it wasn't going to be something where we were going to make it to that next step. I feel like we kind of knew that, and the games weren't as important, like going into like December or January. So like if the Pistons could be playing games that mean something in March or April, in my opinion, that's the point that you go and make a leap. Now, here's one I like. I've seen this a couple times. Don't worry, Cold Mixes. I saw your comment. Jaylen Brown will be a disgruntled star if the Celtics keep losing. Cold Mixes, not only will he be a disgruntled star if they keep losing, but he already is a disgruntled star a little bit. People forget. Jaylen Brown was in Woj bombs about a month or two ago, saying that he could possibly be going to Brooklyn. Like, if Jaylen Brown like gets mad, like talk about a potential lineup of Cade Cunningham, Jaylen Brown. Oh, wait! I'd love that. I would love that. Yeah, just typing that. Like, dude, like literally just think of that. Jaylen Brown, he was a stud, by the way, this past finals. Like a lot of times, Jason Tatum took the back seat. And Jaylen Brown was the one that was the alpha. What up, though, Carl? By the way, Carl sent me a teaser of his Pistons trailer that he's got coming out soon. Holy. So good. Go follow Carl, man. Seriously, the guy's the dude. The Pistons would definitely be a playoff team with Jaylen Brown. I agree with that 100%. It would be a super duper playoff team, man. That would be awesome. We run this core and also have free agency money next year or expiring contracts for trade deadline trades. Weaver is set to do whatever the F. Dude, Carl, this is part of, Chuck. I'm sorry, Chuck. I'm sorry, Chuck. I saw Carl's name at the bottom again. I saw this, and it made me mix up your name, Chuck, and I'm sorry. But Chuck, this is part of why I love you, because you're right. That's exactly what I'm saying. He's gonna have money to play with. He's gonna have a star that people want to be a part of. He's gonna be in a situation where he could come in and do some things. Never trust Carl, Jimmy Neutron. Yeah, you're not wrong. I believe Sadiq will take the next step to where we don't need Brown. All right, I'm putting it in the chat. If it took trading Sadiq Bey to get Jaylen Brown, would you pull the trigger? I'm just curious. Pull out to the chat. If it took trading Sadiq Bey to get Jaylen Brown, would you pull the trigger personally? If that's what it took, go get Jaylen Brown. Are you doing that trade? So far, 60-40. It's polarizing. I know. And that's the thing. I was even saying this to Jeff. I was saying this to Kool-Aid. I think we were even saying this on the last Will We're Pistons stream. But ultimately, it is very difficult to see a world where Troy Weaver parts with a guy like Sadiq Bey unless he's getting someone really good in return. Right? Like, because that's the thing. You want to see where he's going to go. Because even Troy Weaver's alluded to it. This is like the hardest working guy he's seen come through his program. Like, guys, you don't tell young players in the league to go get a hobby. Like, that's not a regular conversation that, like, when they're like talking about, hey, here's how you need to get better. Spend more time away from the court because you're literally glued to it. And so Sadiq, again, because of James Edwards reporting in that interview, we find out, all right, I'll go pick up hiking to do high altitude training because I'm a badass. Because it's what I do. It's just insane, man. I'm in love with the guy, man. Like, as like a prospect, as like a person, just, you know, like what he brings to Detroit. I'm on the current belief also that I don't want to trade him at the moment unless I truly know I'm getting someone really good. But I will say, if there's any player that makes me pause for a little bit and go, it's Jaylen Brown, because he would be such a stellar addition to this lineup. Really, Chuck? You had to harbor my pain of losing Luka Garza against me? Shout out, Frank. Shout out, Frank. But so far, we got the poll currently at, this is closer than I was expecting. 57% no, 43% yes. All of us have noticed Sadiq has a chance to be better than Cade, but we just have to shut up. So I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say that that he could be better than Cade, because there's a reason why you get Cade at the number 1 pick. And even though Sadiq's a great prospect, why he was at 19th. There's more 3-and-D shooting prospects out there. I mean, Cade is a type of playmaker, a type of prospect, a type of he's the type of guy that just doesn't come around every single draft. There's a reason why he was the consensus number 1 overall pick. But dude, I will say, if he is better than Cade, I ain't complaining, because that means we're going to be winning a lot of basketball games. I like where your head's at. I just wouldn't say he's going to be better than Cade, just because Cade has a more all around game. That's just my opinion. But that's beauty of basketball, man. You can disagree. Cade is and will be the best player on the Pistons. I agree. Cade is the best player on the Pistons as far as his overall impact and ability. Cade is a smaller bird. Troy Weaver compared Cade to Larry Bird. That's not a bad comparison. There's a lot of people that are saying that there is that comparison. I still think, you know, when I watch, like, you know, I know we make a lot of like the Luka Doncic comparisons, but I think the one thing about Cade's game where he isn't going to entirely compare to Luka in that sense is the fact that he doesn't have to be nearly as heliocentric, like having to have the basketball in his hands like Luka does, like where Luka's just always looking to score the basketball, going out there to actually make things happen for himself. Whereas I think Cade is just inherently more selfless. Like he can go out and get his. Like, don't get me wrong. He can definitely do that. I'm not saying he can't, but I just think that, I think generally speaking, Luka's more so looking to score way more often than Cade does. Got to see what Cade adds to his game year 2 plus. I see something different in Sadiq way more than 3 and D. Hey, that's okay. And you know what, Weezy? Like, I'm not saying you're dumb at all. I disagree. But the beauty of it, man, is I love when people have that kind of opinion. I love when we can come and have this type of debate and have conversations about that stuff. That's why I love doing this, man. So, hey, stand by your point, man. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But that's exactly the thing. A rule, consistency is the biggest thing that I'm looking for when it comes to Bay. That's exactly it, man. That's the one thing when you look at Sadiq based shot chart, like there's just a lot of nights where, and don't get me wrong, when he is on, he's like, to me, he's like one of those players where like it's like Klay Thompson when he's on, where it's like he's just not missing a damn shot. He has that type of thing where it's like, like that game against Orlando last year, like we've only seen like one other player in the league really do that type of thing at times, and that's Klay. So I see that type of thing from Sadiq, but on the other hand, kind of like Klay at times, there can be some nights where it's just like, dude, like 1 for 7, 1 for 8. Like there was a night 1 of 11. Like how many nights do we have of this from Sadiq Bey on the shot chart? And like these are all from 3. And it's like, dude, like it's not that I don't have confidence in Sadiq to take 13 threes in a game or 12 threes in a game. But like if you're 2 for 12 that game, maybe at a certain point you should adjust and take a different approach that night. I think that's one thing that we're just gonna have to see from Sadiq this season is just how do you eliminate that from your game? How do you make it so that you're having more nights? And like not saying that you can't have an off night shooting. Everyone's gonna have an off night shooting. That's just the way the game goes. But like at the same time with Sadiq, it's just too often. And at times it can stall our offense. So that's what I think. I feel like Sadiq and Jaden Ivey can be better than Cade. I don't know. It's just something about Sadiq and Ivey that is different. I get it. I think what it is I think they can have the potential to put up a more flashy game. In my opinion, I just think a lot of what Cade does is stuff that if that you just have to dive a little bit deeper into to see. In my opinion, I just think Cade's that type of connector, and I think Sadiq and Ivy are guys that can create for themselves, but I think there's something intrinsically different about guys that can make the guys around them better, and that's a whole different skill set. It's one thing to be a star and to go out there and shine and to be a bucket and to do a lot of things great on an individual level. It's a whole other thing to be a superstar, to be a guy like a LeBron or to be like a guy like these guys were able to go out and put their teammates on their backs, but also make them better basketball players. But yeah, exactly. Chuck, you hit it on the nail. Ivy, Bay, and Duran will be highlight specials, but Cade will be what stirs the drink. Dude. That's exactly it. It's like Ivy, Bay, and Duran it's like when you go to dinner and you get dessert. And it's like, man, I'm thinking about that cake. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, don't forget about that pot roast that filled you up at dinner, young man. We gotta come up with something better than calling Cade the pot roast. I just feel like that's just disservice. Cade's footwork, offhand, pace, fundamentals are off the charts. Exactly, Topher. You can't teach a lot of what Cade does, man. But again, I wouldn't mind my last 9-13 lottery pick to complete the dynasty. I listen, man, I get it. And I definitely think that like we can still be in a position, even if we're like playing meaningful games towards the end of like March or April, we could still be in a position where we're in the lottery, right? But I also like don't necessarily think like the goal this season should be all right, we got to end up in that lottery. I don't think this is like the last couple of years where we were a town like a roster where we truly needed to get towards the top of that lottery, right? I don't think we're in that type of situation where like we're going for the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. Which, by the way, if y'all haven't seen what this guy can do, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I saw a video today of Victor Wembanyama getting back to playing basketball. Yep, I found it. Dude, this guy is insane. What he can do on a basketball court is absolutely like this guy's like 7'3", moves like a freaking guard, handles it like no other, can get it to himself. Dude, this guy's gonna do whatever the hell he wants. Like, if he stays healthy, he can do whatever the hell he wants. Oh my gosh, man. This guy could be a problem. Is all I'm saying. Is all I'm saying. If you haven't seen the highlights of him, it's unreal. But again, it just comes down for me. I'd sell everything like the Jazz did too for Victor Wimbe whatever. Oh my god, man. Whatever. Come on, man. Come on. Wembanyama. But let's get a top 3 ping pong ball with a 0.5%. That's exactly it, Chuck. Like that's the thing with the lottery. You're playing a dangerous game there. And like we only got lucky the way that we did in getting Jaden Ivey because the Sacramento Kings decided at 4 that Keegan Murray was the move. Question for you. Can Livers be Tobias Harris with less dribbling and more connecting? I definitely like that comparison. I think he's a guy, to me, I think he could be one of those guys where he's just a connector on the court. He's doing everything that you want him to do. To me, he's like one of those like PJ Tucker or Jay Crowder type of guys, or like they just do everything you want them to do on a basketball court. They shoot really well. They defend. They're good team guys. Their locker room presence, like to me, they're just everything that you want in your locker room. I would absolutely say like, yeah, I love what Isaiah Livers can be going forward. I'm actually I think I'm gonna write an article about him this week. So I'm excited about that. But thank you for going live today. You're great. Hey, appreciate that, man. I'm gonna be going live much more throughout the season now that we're actually getting things ramped up. If I'm being honest, I took a break from being live like the last month just because with everything going on with the off season, there wasn't really much to talk about. Also, just if I'm being quite frank, just needed to take a step back for my own personal well-being, just kind of needed some time for my mental health, just kind of peel back for a second. But man, it feels good to be live again, y'all. Seriously. I like literally keep wanting to like restart the stream because the audio sounds weird on my end. But again, it sounds fine on your guys' end, so I'm just gonna deal with it. I'll fix that after the stream. Do you think Cade from the Slime? Do you think Cade could be the greatest basketball player of all time when his career is all said and done? Listen, man. Greatest player of all time? But you like the odds are 99.99999999999% no, because it's just hard to get up there. But listen, man, he could be a great player. He can be a great player. I don't know if I want to. I've only seen 1 year, dude. Like even as a Detroit sports fan, it's hard for me to go if I've only seen a guy play for 1 year just to go, all right, how can he get to the upper pantheon? Because there's just so much that he has to do. There's just so much. There's just so much he has to do. He was tired of me being so no, Chuck, I missed you. It's good to see you in the chat, my friend. Always a pleasure. Seriously, always a pleasure. But starting lineup should be Cade, Ivy, Bay, Stu, Bagley until Duran develops more. I agree with that. I think in my opinion, that's the best place for Bagley to start the season. And then I think you can put him into that second unit to kind of be one of those main offensive initiators for that second unit. I think that's a line. I think that's something that could be good for him. But yeah, man, I like that lineup a lot. I think he comes in and so for me, Chuck, like I see it as Bagley still playing the four. So like I would flip it. I would say it's Cade, Ivy, Bay, Bagley, Stu, just because Bagley still plays more of a natural forward. He doesn't really like to bang in the post as much. So I still think you need Isaiah Stewart to kind of be like that starting five because it's kind of like where he bangs in the post a little bit more. And I think from there you can kind of like shuffle Stu around, bring in Nerlens Noel first off the bench, like do something like that. I think there's a lot of different ways you can play with the rotation, but I think Isaiah Stewart, like as far as like the big man goes, is the only lock as far as a starter day one because he hasn't done anything to lose that spot. That's for sure. But Chuck says easier to start Bagley off the bench than for him to lose his starting job when Durant is ready. That's fair. That's fair. I don't even see it as like him losing his job. I don't know. Like to me, it's like anytime like you draft someone like that it's kind of like the clock's ticking until that's your job, right? It's like I feel like it's like everyone knows like it's at a certain point they would want Jalen Duren to be the starting five in Detroit, right? That's just my opinion though. That's just my opinion, but that's okay. Duren better get more playing time than Noel. Listen, I think at a certain point, I think Noel will be taking the back seat. I think he will be the third big on this roster, but I think in a Dwayne Casey system, like you're going to see that Jalen Duren's going to have to come in and do certain things to get himself to be in that position, to be in that part of the lineup, right? I think that's like something you're going to have to see from him. Ivy greater than Cade. No. Nope. We're like, let's just not do that just yet. We still need to see Ivy play a game. Ivy's a hell of a player. And even then, why do we have to compare? We got them both. They're both great. Like, what's the problem with having both? It's a pretty good place to be. I don't know. But that's just me personally. Cade and Ivy, best Pistons backcourt of all time. Dude, it could be. It could be. It definitely, like, it as far as like the talent and the upside, it definitely can be. There's just these guys named Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas that like still would have something to say about that. And like I'm sure that like those guys would want Cade and Ivy to be the best backcourt in Pistons history too. But again, they're gonna have to do some things in order to get to that place and work up to be there. But I definitely like the optimism. I definitely think they can get there. They definitely have the intangibles to be there for sure. But Bagley definitely needs to get better on the defensive end to start. I agree with that. He's just got to be better on the defensive end to stay on the court and to have a consistent piece in this rotation in the long term. Like there's just a certain point where it's like, dude, like you can bring all these things on the offensive end and do a lot of great things. And that's cool. But like if you're not gonna like really like contribute on the defensive end, like what is your offense bringing? You know what I'm saying? Like what is it doing for the team in the long term? That's what I want to know. But seriously, if you are new here, by the way, be sure you subscribe right down below. Thank you all very much for being tuned in. I appreciate it. I want Killian to average around 10 to 12 points on good efficiency. Dude, that's the thing. He just needs to take better shots. He just needs to get more efficient across the board. I actually just had my article come out today on Woodward Sports shameless plug, which by the way, ooh, we got a new website up in here too, which you better go check out. But in addition, I released my new article today. But here it is specifically. I went into a little bit more like the analytics of Killian Hayes, like some of the things you could see in his game. So be sure you go check that out. That is live on the Woodward Sports website, which by the way, got a brand new redesign too. Look at that. We're looking pretty fly. Huh? Look at that. We're doing things over here. But also one last thing, I could see the Pistons go the Grizzlies route of if everything goes correctly, dude. That's the goal. That's the hope. Like that's like right now people are talking about like what team could be the next Memphis in the NBA. Like obviously Cleveland is right now someone that's like primed to take that jump because they have like all this talent, but like I think part of that's like what are these unexpected teams? Like I think people just aren't looking at the track record of everything that the Pistons have done over these last couple of years. Just like, hey, If y'all want to be, if y'all don't want to keep tuned in on it, that's fine. Just know that it's going to bite you in the ass at some point. But all right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this first stream for right now. Just for the sake of full transparency, the audio is still not really great on my end, and it is bothering me to no end. So I'm going to go get that fixed. But seriously, man, thank you everyone so much for tuning in and being here. We're going to be going live much more often. Expect the courthouses to come back on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. So be sure to be there, tuned in. I will be live again there then this Wednesday. But then in addition, we still got the World War Pistons Table Talks that will be live each and every Thursday. But also, I'm going to be going live much more often on a whim. In general, just want to come on and chat with you guys more often, do more of this type of content, just talking about the NBA as a whole. And I just love doing live stuff, man. So be sure that you're tuning in. But with that, we want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And I will catch you guys next time from Half Court. And be sure you're subscribed.